Yeah, when I got to Bankers Trust in 1993, I got thrown right on the swap book, and I soon learned about, the mercantile exchange with the LIBOR futures, and we would trade them all the way out to what we called the reds and the blacks. So that was 9 years, 10 years out of these forward 3-month rates. So it's actually right there to see. You don't need to do bond math, subtract the 10-year rate from the 7-year rate to see those forward yields. It's actually right there in black and white where you can see the forward 3-month rates, and it kind of spells out what the market is telling you those forward rates are going to be. And it's right there. And like you said, that's the institutional money betting, and that money is usually righter than the Fed, right? And the government.
Correct. By the way, you mentioned swaps and derivatives. It reminds me of another indicator, just quickly. Swap rates are, we have negative swap rates. What does that mean? Well, what is the swap? So I buy a 10-year treasury note and I finance it in the overnight market. So what's happening to me? I'm getting the yield on the 10-year treasury note and I'm paying an overnight yield. So I'm receiving fixed, paying floating. Well, sometime in the 80s, but certainly, in your experience in the 90s, in my experience, at some point somebody said, hey, why don't we get rid of the bond? Like, just pay fixed and receive floating. Who needs the bond? The bond's a piece of collateral, but we can have a contract. So that's a swap, a simple form of swap. So I do a swap with Deutsche Bank, and Deutsche Bank says, okay, Jim, I'll pay you the 10-year rate. You pay me the overnight rate. It's exactly the same as if you had the note and we're financing it in the repo market. It's just receive fixed, pay floating. And that's a swap. Pardon me, but if you think of the credit risk, at least with the 10-year treasury note, I got the United States government behind me. If I'm doing a swap with, UBS, I got bank risk. I've got some credit risk in the bank. Credit Suisse just failed. So it's logical. It makes sense that the rate I get from UBS should be slightly higher than the treasury rate. The swap rate from a bank should be slightly higher than the comparable maturity of a government security, because the government security is slightly safer than a big bank.
You've also just recorded this video that will not be available to the public. You're going to talk about this upcoming geopolitical shockwave of what you call the most significant development in international finance since 1971. But then you also explain how anyone can position themselves to profit on this crisis. People can access that at londonreal.tv/Jim. Again, highly recommend people check that out when we're done.
UBS, or I don't have to pick on UBS, Barclays, anybody else in a swap, the rate I get is lower than I get from a 10-year treasury note. So why would I do that? Why would I take the poorer credit and take a lower rate instead of a higher rate? Well, the answer is the swap is off balance sheet, and the treasury note, if I own it, I got to put it on my balance sheet. So when you see negative swap rates, meaning the riskier credit is paying you less than the government credit, what it means is that the balance sheets are constrained. I got to do the off balance sheet trade because we can't use up the balance sheets. That's consistent with what we just talked about with the inverted yield curves, which is there's a major credit contraction. There's a collateral shortage, a dollar shortage, and a credit contraction. That's not a recipe for a recession. I don't know what it is.
Hey, do you want to profit from crypto? Then join my DeFi Academy. The Crypto DeFi Academy will help you create generational wealth. But don't take my word for it. Listen to my students.
When I first got into crypto, I remember thinking to myself, I need to learn more. Brian Rose, learning crypto, learning DeFi, gotta do it.
I am so grateful that I jumped in and did this. I had to break through some limiting beliefs that I can do this, that I can afford this, that I can be in this.
It challenges the things that are deeply rooted within us.
Joining DeFi Academy has been one of the best decisions I have made on my blockchain journey.
This course was a life changer, a game changer, a huge eye-opener, coming from knowing practically nothing at the speed of the learning over 4 weeks was just fantastic.
The information you provided in this class was invaluable.
I feel far more confident in my next steps.
You took complex concepts and made them easier to understand.
What's different than so many other ones is it just doesn't tell you what to do. It actually makes you do it.
This is for people who are serious about becoming traders. This is the way it should be done.
I realized from this learning experience again that it is not about what you learn, but about who you learn it from.
The energy was insane. I've never experienced such incredible energy on a live call. Brian Rose, you are a legend, my friend.
It's the only thing in the market where you can get all information and learn everything what you need to know.
Everything is so clear and so well done, and I'm just forever grateful for this program.
It made me feel so much more confident about crypto than I did before.
I did not anticipate how passionate I was going to become about it.
This course has been like a big learning experience for me, not just in the crypto space, but just an overall balance of life.
What I've learned is, how to take ownership, of my life in a way that I really hadn't before.
Yeah, you can't put a price on that, really.
I would recommend it to anybody, top notch.
Excellence does not come cheap. So if you want excellence, you gotta pay for it, but it's so worth it.
Pull the trigger. That's what this course is about.
You're not going to regret it, really. It's amazing.
Thank you, Brian and team.
So what are you waiting for? Crypto is happening now. Click the link below, submit your application, and let me mentor you on how to create generational wealth and build the decentralized financial infrastructure of the future.